Okay, if he's not on, I thought he was on. Okay. Um, Brother Fahim, I saw his work and I'm going to present his work to you guys. He did very good. Um, Brother Tahir submitted half of it. I think he's still missing. Brother Tahir, like if you need help, please let me know. I will
Okay.
help you. And Shamim is here, Rajubai is here. Let us know. We can help you completing the rest of it because it's very crucial that you are up to speed. Fatima did not submit, or did you, Fatima? Fatima, what's going on? Okay, whenever you're able to speak, please let me know. Hananbai did really good. He said perfect. So that's really good. Rajubai, you know Hananbai, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So Hananbai
Ananbai
did
is very good.
excellent job. So that's good. So I wanted to present. I saw two people's work. I saw a lot of work, but I two people's work really caught my eyes. Both of them are from Bangladesh, and they did really good. Brother, okay, Brother Fahim and also Rahi. Is Rahi on today?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. How's everything?
Everything is Alhamdulillah well.
Good. Okay. So I'm gonna show you your work and as well as
Oh wow, very nice
Fahim's work. Okay,
title.
look at this, guys. So look at the presentation. This is what impressed me, right? Look at his cover page. Cover page. What he did. He talked
She.
about.
Oh,
No,
oh,
this is
oh.
this
Okay,
is this
okay.
is this is Fahim's work.
Fine. Okay.
Fahim, there?
Yes.
Okay, brother. So look at this presentation, guys. We're gonna talk about it later. Let's look at it. What he did. So this is his cover page where he detailed out everything. He did not miss out anything. Look at this. He talked about the course. He talked about the topic. He talked about the instructor. His informations, right? The date, which is so important, right? The date is so important. The name is so important. Without that, we cannot recognize this. And then he went look at the inside pages. He talked about objective, and then if you go into the details, then the diagram he put in there. Then different phases. He talked about different phases. Um, underline Underlining process he talked about. This is configuration core. Okay. We talked about this in details here. Then he went to SDLC model here.
Wow, that's very nice. Very nice.
So this is something I wanted to present to everybody. And here he's talking about the waterfall in details. He did not leave out anything. He put the this is the headline, right? Then he talked about in this paragraph in details, and then he put the model there, diagram. Uh, V model, same thing. He went in and got his own
Wow.
image, and look at this. And then 5 keywords of Edge Scrum from that video. Tell me, like, does this not impress you guys?
That's amazing. It's beautiful.
Ajay, can you give me
Yes,
1 minute if you don't mind? Just do you want to talk about this a little bit? I need to
Yeah.
take this important call.
Yeah. So, folks, if you notice that document, the document had a title. In that title, he gave so much information and he structured it so nicely. And I think I'm really impressed by this document. And not only that, this brother also researched some of the other topics that we were talking about of V model and SDLC, even SDLC. He did it as a separate research. It doesn't mean it's wrong to do research on the subject that you're learning. That we are teaching you. You can also get different types of information if you research from a different source also. But mostly we want you to follow our teaching the way we're teaching it. But the V model diagram was very nice. He went and searched that and uploaded that, and the structure is very nice. The way he structured the whole document, I'd say is very nice. Shamim, what do you have to say?
By for understanding purpose, this is really good. But
Hmm.
when interviewer ask you a question like explain SDLC,
Hmm.
if you go through like this, it will take like 10 minutes.
No, no, it would take much longer, I would say.
Yes,
And you are not supposed to memorize every word by word. You're supposed to
yes,
understand the main topics. I would say if he was to explain it in an interview, he should write another short description of SDLC, how to explain SDLC within under 3.5 minutes. Brother Brother Fahim, you should try explaining SDLC in a quick way that doesn't take you more than 4 minutes. Try to make a quick document of that also for your own documentation, for your own. That way, when somebody in an interview, what is SDLC, you can give a quick example. Shamim, what do you think about that answer? I think that answer is good, right?
for these questions from our last class, I have created something for only for like interview purpose.
Hmm.
If
Yeah.
I can share this screen or
Okay, sorry, what are we talking about?
No, we were just going over the document, how nicely structured it was.
Yeah. Okay, Shamim, I'll give you some time in a second, but let's. Okay, what this documentation impressed me the most is we did not request any of this
Hmm.
from him, right? We just like everyone else, we said, okay, guys, give me your homework. So he could have done what others did, just give homeworks, but he thought about it. He said, "Can I want to make this presentable? I want to make it the way it is. It looks better, right?" And that's what you have to do when you go to work. You have to do this. This is presentation is so important. You cannot just give out some work, randomly. Presentation is so important, so please understand that. And I'm not saying the rest of you guys did a bad job. I'm not saying that, but I'm presenting this because it caught my eyes and it's really important. So one more I think is from Rahi. I'm gonna try to present it if I can find it. Yeah, right here somewhere. So also, like, he submitted in two formats, PDF and Word. So it doesn't really have to be like this. You can just submit with what you have. Um, so she submitted, look at her work, beautifully done, right? She separated SDLC. Can you guys see my screen?
You want to open it in Chrome? Open it in Google top.
It's a little many documentation. That's why
Yeah.
I wanted to just do
Oh, okay.
uh, just scroll through this. So this
Yeah.
is in PDF. This is one of the document where she talked about SDLC in details. Looks beautiful, clean. You know, the presentation is excellent. And then if we look at the next one, where did it? Okay, so this is Waterfall.
Hmm.
This is Waterfall. Nice and clean, to the point. And then if we look at verification and validation, V model verification validation in one documentation, and then the keywords, 5 keywords in the Agile Scrum. So I thought her presentation was really good, and the best thing she did came up with the keywords. Some of you got confused when I asked for keyword. I just asked for keyword, nothing else. Just like how she got got those keywords like product owner, development team, product backlog, scrum master, sprint. So the reason behind it, like Agile has its own language, Agile has its own terminology. So we're going to talk about it when we start talking about Agile. So, but some of you went above and beyond, which is fine. You guys put the descriptions, you guys got the keywords, you guys got the description, which is fine. But the whole idea was to just get 5 keywords, and we'll talk about it in the class. So this was excellent, guys, and I wanted to show it to you guys just for learning purpose, presentation purpose, and how to present a document in a formal manner. No, you don't have to do it in each and every homework, but I think it's really good. It looks very good because we had lots of homework last week, because some of them SDLC was from previous class, and then V model and waterfall and verification, validation, everything was adding up. So it looked really good when he put everything together. So do you guys have any questions, concern, or any suggestions?
Kadira, I have a little question that I
Yeah.
might. So how many videos is there? Just one videos or two different videos? Cause for some reason there is one video is 10 minutes. There is another video shows 7 minutes.
Oh, no, just watch the 10-minute video. You're talking about Agile, right?
Yeah,
Scrum.
I think it was supposed to be one video, isn't it? Or I just getting it
Yeah,
wrong?
I think no. There are 2 videos. Just watch. If you watch both of them, you're fine. You're getting more information. Nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
my
I was
main
just
focus was the 10-minute one, because we initially got confused. We sent you wrong video, and then I sent the correction with the
okay.
updated video. The guy who talked about Agile in 10 minutes, I think he was to the point. He was very sharp, and it was very good. I really liked his presentation. So there's a lot to learn from there. Anyway, okay, that's good. I think one other sister, Shafina, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. I know you missed last class, and just want to know where you are, what you're understanding, and where do you need help?
I am way behind.
You're
So I
behind, right?
feel, yes, very behind.
Okay, so can I suggest you, which are you with Rajubai? No, you're not in Rajubai's group. Are you in Hamid's group?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. Rajubai, is there a way you can spend like 1 hour with her?
Yeah, sure. And also anybody else that wants to join, we can set up a meeting and help each other. There's no
Okay.
problem. I don't
So
have an issue with that.
yeah, that's perfectly fine. But I want that session for mainly for her, and if anyone else is behind.
Yeah, that's fine.
So when is the best time for you, sister? When do you want to
Uh,
connect with him?
Let him give me a time and I'll work with his time.
Okay,
Uh,
perfect.
yeah, no problem. Reach out to me through chat, and we'll set something up.
Great, as soon as possible. Because I'm
Sure,
so sorry I'm
no
behind.
problem. No problem.
Thank
That's
It's
fine.
you.
it's 4th of July weekend. I understand. Last weekend.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm trying my best to get everybody to the same level. I know it's not going to be possible, but we have to try. So this week, you must catch up. You need to spend some extra time, and Raju is going to help you. And Hamid is also there. So we'll see what we can do for you. So thank you very much.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So guys, let's start. I spent too much time there. So let's start. So I believe everybody understands Waterfall. So Waterfall is a sequential development methodology, and where everything happens in a sequence. What I mean by that, right? When we get a requirement, we will get a requirement altogether, right? And requirement will be finalized, and then we'll start planning. Just understand the concept, because when we move to Agile, it's going to be very, very important for you to understand this part first, and then you understand Agile, then you can compare why Agile, why Waterfall, right? So like I said, we gather requirement first. So what I mean by that, let's go through a website and let's talk about this, right? Let's see if we can. Let's talk about this website, and this website is, what is this? Who's Zuho? So this is a website, right? Everything you see under this website is a requirement. What I mean by that is sign up functionality. If you look at what is the first landing page, right? So this is a landing page, right? Within that landing page, their first requirement would be the logo of this application. Then there would be like sign up functionality, because this is where you start signing up, right? And this content, everything here that you see, it's going to be requirements. Like you see, they're talking about CRM, they're talking about desk, mail, books, everything else, right? This is nothing but a requirement. Without the requirement, nothing gets built. That's why it's important. Everything starts from the requirement. So if I click on this sign up link, where do I land? So this is where the main work will start. So if we go back to Waterfall, right? In Waterfall, we start from the requirement phase. In Waterfall, we start from this requirement phase, and this is, and for this application, for Waterfall, they have to come up and give us the entire requirement, right? First, they're going to talk about, they want a sign up page. Once you go to the sign up page, you will have option to enter email and password to sign up. And then obviously there's going to be drop down with every single state. Then you must agree to sign up, and then there is a submit button, sign in for free, that button. And once you click on it, an account will be created in their database, in this company's database. So this would be the entire requirement of this sign up page, right? But then you go to sign in, from sign up, you go to sign in, then you click on this, right? This whole thing would be a requirement. So if I'm going too fast or you're having a hard time understanding, please let me know. Everything is requirement, right? Within this signing page, they will say like there should be a logo here. That's a requirement. There should be a static text here saying sign in, and whatever the message below it. And then there would be, within the requirement, there would be, they would say, specify there should be an edit box where user can enter their username for this page. And after that, there should be a button to go next, or forgot the password. Everything will be detailed out in the requirement. Then you click on the next button. I hope everybody understand what is requirement. If you don't, please speak up, we'll try to explain, right? So then you click on the next button. Then here they will be talking about the password field, and here they'll specify. Guys, pay attention when we talk about password functionality. Is very, very sensitive, right? Within that password field, they're going to talk about what the password field should look like. Obviously, it's going to be edit box, right? What are the characteristics that is acceptable? What are the characters that you have to mandatory? They're going to talk about this. What is the length of this field? Like, you know how password field should be 8 to 10 digit character, should have uppercase, lowercase, and special character, and a number, like these kind of things. Everything has to be specified, right? So this is what the requirement will define here. And once they do that, this part would be complete. You know, this page would be complete, right? And then we're going to move on from this page to next, which would be sign in page, right? Once we go into the sign in page, then what do we see? We see the functionality of the application, right? If you see these different logos here, right? Books, calendar, and all these things, when you, these are the requirement, right? And within that requirement, there are sub requirements. So once, let's say you click on books, right? Once you click on books, look what happens. You are navigated to different next part of this application. So this would be also another page, and there would be requirement for that. If I click here, what happens? You go to a different page. So these are your requirement. Calendar, what happens when you click on it? It takes you to this calendar, right? So these are the requirement. So what I'm trying to tell you guys, right? You know, first of all, understand what is requirement. Second of all, for Waterfall, right? You know, when client comes in, they're going to give you the entire requirement of the application. And then only once they do that, then only we're going to say our requirement is finalized. Now we can finally start planning. So unless until they do that, we will not move to planning phase. But in Agile, the story is very different, and I'll tell you why and what, right? So once the requirement is finalized, then we will move to planning phase. Guys, do you have any questions on the requirement? Do we understand what is requirement?
I do have a simple question. Just example. So let's say a client wants a password system, right, to sign in, and the client actually asking developer to not developer, the project manager said, hey, I want a password to be 12-digit length. I want that to be with two alphabet, two number, whatever. Do client actually specify this particular details, or developer just choose to do
No,
whatever they
no,
think?
no. Developers, we work for them. We don't
Okay.
we don't come up with our ideas. We could suggest, but we are not the owner, right? We're just working.
Client basically specify what they really
Mm,
want, like with the details.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm explaining this to you guys in one direction, so you guys are not confused and understand it clearly. Then we're gonna try to get more. We'll expand our knowledge, because right now in industry there are different ways people work, right? And I mentioned that before. Industry is evolving each and every day. People are trying to do different things, right? It's not always client is going to come in with the, it's not every company that works in that formula. There are different company works in a different formula, but let's stick to this formula and understand this thoroughly, and then we can talk about different methodology and different ways of working. What I mean by that, there are company, they have their own software. They're going to build it according to what they want to do with their application, and what they think the best for them, right? So there is not even a single client involved. But ideally, the industry started like this. There's separate IT company, there's separate business investment group, and they come together and start working. That was the original theme. But right now, let's say Facebook, take example of Facebook. They have their own developers, they have their own QAs, they have their own BAs. They don't need to go to a third party company and say, hey, I have an idea, can you build a software for me? They don't, right? Because they are the owner. They have everybody within their company, so they can do. They have group of people, business analyst, right? They have product owner. They're thinking, they're always thinking like, what is next? How can I improve my application? What can I do better? Same thing with iOS, same thing, Apple, Android. They're always doing something different. So like the way I'm explaining, part of the market works in that formula, that model they're following, but half of the industry is changing, right? Why should they go and pay a third party IT company when they can own a IT company? And every single company, the newer companies, IT, um, technology company, they have their own group of developers. If you, Amazon, Google, Apple, Facebook. So they don't need to have an external client coming into them with ideas and whatnot. It doesn't work for them. But for you guys to understand, I'm showing you both pictures, right? So and yeah, they have their own people, product owners, business analysts. Day and night they're thinking, what can I do next? What is the next thing? What can I bring out to the market before some other company does? For example, Apple and Android, they're competing against each other. So Apple wants to be the first to introduce something new to the market. So for that, their people, they're paying millions of dollars to a group of people who's always trying out new things, new ideas, new technology. Same thing with Android, and yeah, this is the world. So I hope you guys understand that. Okay, any other questions with the requirement? Okay, Ashfaq, how you doing? How's everything with you?
I'm good, Mama. How are you?
Good. Are you up to date? Are you understanding everything?
Yes, I'm up to date. I actually watched the recording that you sent. I rewatched them like twice, each of them, and while I was doing the homework.
Cool. I'm counting on you. I need you to put a lot of time. I know you have time. You got to put a lot of time and effort.
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying my best.
Cool, cool. Okay, you know, Sanabil is not here. Me and Raju bhai really miss Sanabil. Okay.
I'm devastated. I'm devastated.
Yes, 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 yes. Me too. Okay, so all right, so we're talking about a requirement phase and planning phase, and once the planning phase is done, then we move to design phase. So notice how we're moving sequentially. We're not going back and forth. We're not jumping from requirement phase to design phase, then UAT phase or testing phase and going back and forth. We are not doing any of that. We are in Waterfall. We're gonna go in sequence. We're just gonna follow step by step. That is the theme of Waterfall, right? And that's why this was, you know, from the beginning of the industry, this was the way everybody worked, right? And like I mentioned, people like change, people like to try different things, and that's why Agile was introduced. Now, I hope you guys understand Waterfall. Before I move on from Waterfall, let's talk about it. Any questions? One main thing about Waterfall is if you look at this gate, if you look at this gate right here, right here, here, okay. So this line right here, it separates QA, not QA team, IT team from the client. Client sits here and that's it. They do not have access to any of this. They have no idea what's going on, right? The way Waterfall works is at the beginning, client will come in and give their ideas, and there will be time frame. There will IT company and them, they would be agreeing upon a time frame, and within that time frame, let's say they ask them to build a product, and they said, okay, this is going to take us 3 months to build. Now, within that 3 months, client has no idea like what's going on. Yes, there might be updates from the management saying, hey, you know, we completed 30%, 40%, or we're on target, we're doing okay, we don't, you know, we're good, we're going to meet the deadline. This kind of conversation will happen. But other than that, client has no idea, zero idea how the product look like, what's going on, who's working in the team, what kind of team they have no idea. Client comes back here once testers from this phase talked about actually they declare, they sign off on the product, they confirms that everything is done, product look good, then you know it moves to UAT phase. Here again, client has the access, and if you see the gate, right, you know, this is where is open for client, that this is where they come back and revisit. From here they have access in UAT phase. And even here, like, you know, it's going to be limited access. um, when it goes to production, then everybody has access. So I hope you understand about this workflow inside and out. Rajuba, you want to add anything to this?
No, I think you covered everything. One thing to emphasize, like in the requirement phase, we cannot go forward until all of the requirements are defined and work done. And after we finish requirement, we go to the planning phase. And if then the client comes back and says, oh, I have one more requirement to do, they can't do that because we can't go back. All the requirements are done and we are in the planning phase. We cannot add just one more small requirement, even if it's very small. Kadir, does that make sense?
Yes, yes, and thank you. I forgot to mention that. Right. So client has no idea what's going on here, and let's say they sign off on the URS document, and they went home and in their sleep they came up with a new idea and say, oh, you know, we talked about this, and but I want something else. They cannot come back to the IT company and say, you know, I want to make these changes at the moment, because it's done, and they're going to the IT company, they will start working on it. What they will say, wait for your product to go right here in production. Once it goes to production, you guys remember the maintenance phase, and within that maintenance phase, they're allowed to make changes. Other than that, there is no changes. So this is kind of disadvantage for the client. Client, nowadays they don't like this. They're like, we spend so much money and time. We want to be involved. We want to know what's going on. We want to be able to make changes when we want to. So that's why Agile happened. That's why Agile was introduced. And okay, so this is SDLC. Let's look at Agile folder. So if we look at Agile, that's why Agile was introduced. Agile does not like to leave out the client. Agile, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so Agile works in iteration. It does not work sequentially. Agile works in iteration. What I mean by that, it does not build the entire application all at once. So let me give you some idea. If we go back to that application, right? So Agile, what they do is, if I log out of this, right? Remember we talked about sign up functionality is a requirement, right? If we go here, sign up functionality is a requirement. Sign in functionality is a requirement. And this is password, username field is a requirement. Then landing page, once you sign in, landing page is a requirement. And within that, there are multiple requirements there, right? Box calendar, whatever, right? So what Agile does, it makes it easier for the client. What they do is they will build the first part of the application. They get all the requirement maybe at once, or maybe in 3 shot or 4 shot, doesn't really matter. They don't care, as long the application makes sense, as long they have main functionality of the application's requirement in place. They're going to start working on it. Let's say sign up functionality is there, sign in functionality is there, landing page is there, the sub requirement in the landing page is there. So what Agile would do, they would say, hey client, we're going to give you the sign up functionality in next 2 weeks. So you have an application where you can go log in, sign up and log in and see what your application looks like. So, what do you think when that happens within 2 weeks or 1 week? How do you think the client will feel? They would be like, oh, we're so happy. We love it. We don't have to wait 3 months. In 2 weeks, you're giving me part of my product, and I'm able to see that, and they love it. And then the Agile, we're gonna go into the workflow, but and in Agile team would say, okay, next week I can give you sign in page. You then week after they can say, we'll give you this next 2 page and the landing page where you can browse around and see how your application looks like. And they will give you the ability to the client and say, hey, look into it. If there is any changes requires, let us know, and they will do it. So that's why Agile is so important and so popular right now in this market. Nobody wants to talk about Waterfall. Nobody wants to talk about V model or anything else out there. If it's not Agile, people think, oh, you are you are not up to date. So so when I say iteration, like Agile works in iteration. It works part by part. It does not work on the entire application at once. It works part by part. So it starts with iteration -1, then it moves to iteration 0, then it moves to construction iteration, then it moves to release iteration and production iteration. Now let's talk about all of these iterations. So what is iteration -1? In iteration -1, you and I are not involved. It's usually high level iteration. So let's say if they have multiple projects or products, they will be identifying potential project to work on, prioritizing, then prioritizing. Do we understand what is prioritization mean? What is priority? Anybody is able to explain what is priority? This is so important in this industry. I cannot stress it enough. Today I have some issue talking. I was driving a lot. I guess I lost my voice. Let's talk about priority. Do we understand what is priority? Anyone wants to explain what is priority? Anybody? I mean, we need to. Uh, Nishat, do you understand what is priority?
I think if something is really important.
Let's say, today you have to do laundry, you have to do cooking, you have to do homework. three things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So out of these three things, and then maybe add a few things you have to do, some cleaning in your house or something like that. Are you able to prioritize those? These are three, four things I talked about. Seems like um, pretty good priority, right? Are you able to prioritize those, saying like which one is highest priority, which one is medium priority, and which one is low priority?
I think we all do it in daily basis, like whichever need to be get it done, whichever I can
First,
put it down, or whichever, okay, I can do it tomorrow.
yeah. So so things in those nature, let's say four things I mentioned, right? So first was like doing homework, second was doing laundry, then what was the third one?
You say cooking.
Cooking, right? And then
Uh-huh.
cleaning your house. What would be like the top priority?
I got to eat. I want to cook.
Okay, cool. So cooking is your highest priority, right? And then
Yeah, I got it.
what would be your lowest priority out of this?
You said laundry. If I have enough clothes, I can wear it. I can go back tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
That's it, done. Okay, guys, so understand this, like, just, we're trying to give you a live example. So priority is when you have multiple tasks, right? I'm talking explaining in the term of IT industry. When you go to work, you don't think you're just going to be doing one thing. Don't think that, when you go to work, there will be day like you doing nothing, right? For example, in my project right now, I'm not doing anything, um, pretty much. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be like this. There is uptime, there is downtime right now. We are planning, we are in planning phase, we are in iteration -1 or iteration 0. This is where we are right now. And we are just going into meetings, we are talking about the budget, we're talking about the team structure, we're talking about like how we can build team, what direction we want to go. Do we want to go to agile or hybrid, or there is another thing called TDD, test driven development. That's also very close to agile, but it's next level, where uh, testing happen first and then development happens, and that's very complex. If I want to explain you right now, it is automated process. Then we're talking about automation versus manual. This is what we're talking about. So not a lot of work, and sometimes I don't even feel like joining the meetings, because this is high level meetings with the management, project manager, this and that, and I really think they don't need me, but they value me and they want my opinion, so I join. But sometimes I feel silly. I'm like, I shouldn't even be here. But it's good to, like, talk to the people and everything is always good. So right now I'm not doing anything. That doesn't mean my life in my current project is going to be like this. Absolutely not. I'm going to get hit hard, and I know that, and I'm getting ready for that, and I'm trying to get a few more, trying to hire a few more QA guys. Unfortunately, they're not allowing me to take anybody from US. They're asking me to get somebody from India. um, I do not support that. I want to shift it to Bangladesh, but I don't. It's not up to me, because our country does not produce this kind of engineers. Our country is not government, and the education system is so corrupted. They are not focusing on the future of our nation. So they don't produce them. So what can we do? But that's why I'm trying to see if we can help some of the brothers out there. If they're really good, we can present them. There is a huge risk. They're gonna say, like, first thing they're gonna say, they're gonna be like, why should we try? Why should we trust you? Why show us some proof? Show us some track record that they did it, or your country has this culture built. It's gonna be tough, but I'm just saying. So going back to priority. So when I will get hit, which I'm assuming in a month or two, I will have at least 10 things on my plate daily. Now I have to be able to understand my priority. What is the highest priority? What is the medium priority? What is the lowest priority? Which one has to be done ASAP. And then there is priority and there is severity. That's also uh, another things that we need to understand. What is severity, right? If we understand what is priority, then we'll talk about what is severity, but not right now because we don't need to understand severity right now. When we talk about defect and things like that, we'll talk about it. So I hope priority is clear, unless anybody wants to have their input or questions. So here in iteration -1, we will be prioritizing potential projects. So here there will be like multiple projects. Then the project manager or the managers, they will be prioritizing the project. They'll develop initial vision. There's always a vision when you do something, and you have to have it. Prior to that, now in iteration -0, before we move on to iteration -0, I want to talk about the keywords, right? So who wants to give me a keyword and we can talk about it? Ashfaq, what was just give me one keyword from your homework. Agile 10 minutes.
I think it was
Just one.
product backlog.
Product backlog. So what is product backlog?
It's a collection of user stories.
User story. Then what is user story?
The features that are written from the perspective of the end user.
Right. And do we know who is end user?
It's the client.
There you go. That's very good. Very impressive, Ashfaq. So guys, I'm not going to explain product backlog right now because this is not the topic of right now, but we'll try. We'll try when we get there. Anyone else want to give me a relevant keyword?
Sprint.
Sprint. No, we have to go into Scrum to explain sprint.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But sprint, yeah, sprint is something good. All right, let's finish this. Then we'll talk about the keyword. So in iteration 0, what happens in iteration 0? Active stakeholder participation. Does anyone understand what that means? Guys, the language in
client.
Yeah, thank you, Nishat. So in the language in Agile is different than Waterfall or any like normal IT language, right? Agile has its own language. I mean, it's obviously English, but they have their own wording and everything. They try to they try to differentiate themselves from the industry. They're within the industry, but um, they're like they want to single out themselves. They don't want to have what V model is doing, what Waterfall is doing, what other methodologies are doing. They want to have their own name and own concept. That's why their language is different, their terminology is different, their concept is very different, which is very good. So stakeholder is nothing but the client, is nothing but the owner of the product. So you're gonna hear when you go to Agile environment, when you work in, if you get a job in Agile environment, you're gonna hear about stakeholder. Stakeholder is nothing but the client, nothing but the owner of the product, right? So you're gonna hear product owner or stakeholder. So they use this terminology, right? So in iteration 0, the stakeholders participation is there. If you look back to the waterfall, there is no stakeholder, there is no client. Client does not have access. Client only place they have access is the requirement phase and UAT phase and production. Within the development, within the process of building the software, client does not exist. That is the main drawback of waterfall. If you look at Agile, in every single iteration, you're going to see client is there, client is there. Obviously, in production environment, client is there. So every single iteration, you will see client's involvement, right? This is why Agile is so important, right? For the client, for everyone, I believe. Okay, so stakeholders participation in iteration 0. Guys, please take notes. It's going to be important. Agile is so important to understand. If you don't take note, you won't understand. And iteration 0, obviously the funding of the project goes on here. Start building the team happens here. Like this is where we're still not involved here. This is still management, they're dealing with it. They talk about the initial requirement, architecture, setup environment. So what is setting up the environment? Setting up the environment with the computer, with the desk, with the software, with the hardware, and also with the people. As part of setting up the environment, we get hired. We start getting phone calls right here as part of setting up the environment. That's where in iteration 0, they start getting the people, hiring the people. It could be internal, could be external, it goes both way. Then we move to construction iteration. If you look at construction iteration closely, this is where all the work happens. Construction iteration is nothing but developing the product. Within the construction iteration, right, there's going to be developers working, business analysts working, project managers working, us quality assurance guys, we are working. Client is going to be there. They're also going to be sitting next to us working, right? So within the construction iteration, everything happens. If you look at this active stakeholders participation, documentation happens here. Collaborative development. Collaborative development is, this is keyword guys, collaborative development. What do we understand by that? Collaborative development versus development here, right? We have development phase here, right? What is the difference? Anyone understand this?
Everybody included, collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's working side by side, talking to each other, working together, to get the product out. Test driven development. Remember I said TDD, test driven development. Test driven TDD is a different topic altogether. Let's not talk about it. But this is where testing happens, development happens, requirement gathering happens, all in this phase right here, in one phase. Confirmatory testing, like this is where initial testing happens to confirm that product is good, stable. Internally deploy the software. So there are different environment, right? You guys, let's talk a little bit about environment. Here, if you look at this, right, we said, where is my drawing, right? We said testing phase, UAT phase, production phase. What are these three, right? There are within these three, also development phase. These are environment. And what I mean by that, I mean, the people from last batch or before, you guys understand, but maybe the rest of the people may not understand, right? What is that? Like development is an environment, testing is an environment, UAT is an environment, production is an environment. What I mean by that is when you see this application has a life cycle, right? When you see this application, where do you think this application is sitting? This application is accessible to you, to me, to everyone else, right? So where do you think this application is sitting? Which environment? Is it in development environment, testing environment, UAT, or production? Anyone from the new batch, like, do you understand where we talked about this, like, how the application moves from one phase to another phase, right? We talked about planning phase. This is where there is no application, is all document, right? Then design phase, still no application, is document. When we move to development phase, that's where application gets built, a software product gets built, right? Then it moves to testing phase. We do testing, right? And then once we do testing, it moves to UAT phase for the UAT testing. Then it moves to production phase. And what happens when it moves to production phase?
It's going to end user, normally, who want to test the user. Normally they test the software that it's working or not. So that's the thing in happening on the production phase.
Um,
Have
in,
access to it?
yeah, yeah. Tahmina, you were saying something?
I want to say like everyone has access to it on
Thank you.
production
That's
phase.
it. In production, there is no testing, but everybody has access to it. In UAT, the client tests it to make sure it's good. And once it moves to production, right? Once it's moved to production, everybody has access to it. You and I have access to it. We are not testing in production. We are accessing it. But obviously, if there is an issue, there is an issue, right? You know, it's going to be resolved. So each phase is an environment. Understand this terminology, guys. In what is an environment? When you go to facing an interview, they're going to ask you which environment did you work in, and what is an environment. They're not going to ask you what is an environment, because that's a silly question, right? They're going to ask you which environment did you work in. So your answer would be testing environment. You know, this is where, because do you understand, right? You know, when a document, when client gives the requirement right here, right? It's nothing but a document. In planning phase, is nothing but a document. Designing phase is nothing but a document. But when you move to development phase, still is a document initially, but from that document, what developers do, they start coding using whatever the language, you know, they're supposed to use, Java, Python, Ruby, whatever it is, right? Here, they convert this into a real application. And once they're done with this, they're going to say, so they have an environment. It's called dev environment. Testing is an environment. It's called testing environment, but it has different names. But for now, I'm just giving you, just for now, you can say testing environment. Some company says staging environment. Some companies say integration environment. Some companies say standard is QA environment. You can say QA environment. So dev environment, QA environment, UAT environment, production environment. Please write this down. This is very important for you to understand. But within the QA environment, there are different names. Some people, depending on which company you are working on, there everybody has their different name. But you don't have to know that. You don't have to understand that. If as long as you understand is a QA environment, that's it. In your interview, you can say I work in QA environment. That's it, done. Nobody can prove you wrong, right? So do we understand what is environment? So please, this is part of the homework. Everybody has to write something about an environment. What is environment? Rajubhai, you want to talk a little bit about environment?
I think you covered most of it. I think that should be good.
Nobody's talking, so I don't know if I did.
Yeah.
If I did,
No,
if I did what I supposed to
no,
do.
that was pretty detailed. If anybody has any questions about environment, ask if you don't understand what an environment is.
Okay, cool. So moving on from environment. So internally deploy software. So internally they're deploying software in QA environment. Notice is an internal environment, right? QA is internal. So internally they're deploying software. So these are the things happening in construction iteration. Then we go to release iteration. Within release iteration, it's kind of similar to UAT in Waterfall. So in release iteration, what happens? Active stakeholders participation, final system testing. This is where final system testing happens. UAT testing happens here. Finalization of the documents happen here. Training user happens here. Deploy system into production. So from here, system gets deployed to production. So these are the things happens here, right? And then we move to production environment. Within the production environment, what happens? Like, you know, in production, like we talked about, we operate the system, we provide the support of the system. If you what I'm operate this system, you know, right? You know, you go into that application, you just operate that application. System support, right? What do you mean by system support, right? Supporting a system is every application that you see out there, it has a IT group of IT people behind it. whether if it's Facebook, WhatsApp, Amazon, Apple, iOS, anything and everything you see, there's a group of IT people behind it. You don't see them, but they're behind it. If there's an issue in the application, they are providing support. They're providing fix. The application you see in production today, don't think it's bug free. Don't think this application does not have any bugs, any issues. There are some minor issues. Some application has major issues, but there are IT people behind it. They're providing support. They're providing fix. They're providing workaround. So this is what it means by providing support. So this is about Agile, guys. This is about Agile, basically. But we're gonna have to talk about a lot more. Questions?
I know you explained already what is active stakeholder participations is. Are they basically the client? I think I kind of messed up. Or
That's a
basically
good
client,
question.
right?
That's a good question. So now you could ask, what are they doing there, right?
Right.
In there, they're sitting here. They're sitting here. They're sitting here. They're also sitting here. I've been in production. Everybody's sitting there, right? But mainly they're sitting here, right? And they're working. So in an agile environment, there will be one or two stakeholder. There will be usually one. Let's just be correct. There will be one that they're going to assign to a project. So let's say this application they want to build Zuho, Zoho, whatever this one is, right? Let's say a client comes in with their ideas and need, and they said, okay, we want to build this application through your company. They will be sitting here. They would be writing the requirement. They would be finalizing the requirement. They're there, right? They will be giving you the requirement. They won't give you the requirement entirely. They will be giving you requirement part by part, but they have to give you enough for you to start the the project. They would have to give you enough to understand that application. They will be sitting here providing you. They're also part of your team. They're going to be helping you out with the clarification, confusion, questions that you may have. They will be giving you knowledge of the product because they are the owner of the product, right? They know what they want, their vision. They already have a vision of the product, right? You don't, because you just got hired. You still not got, you still didn't get hired. You're getting hired in this construction iteration. So when I go in, I'm going to be like asking them questions right and left. Hey, can I have a meeting with you? I want to know more about your product. I want to know what is the idea behind it. I want you to know, like, I want you to give me a demo of the EOS document that you have to understand, like, what is your expectation out of it, right? So they are going to be sitting here, providing you support, giving you clarification, anything and everything that you need from them. They're going to be there sitting right there. At the same time, the work you get done, they're going to review that. They're going to review your work. Is this what they asked for? If they want to make changes, they can make changes. They have to give you updated requirement, and you're going to prioritize it. You're going to, you as a team, uh, development team, within that, like, you have developers, QA, BA, right? You guys going to prioritize this. They're going to give you bunch of requirement, 200 requirement. From there, you're going to pick the main requirements first, the highest priority requirement, like we talked about priority, right? You're going to take that. If you look at this application, what do you think is the highest priority? The sign up page, right? If you cannot sign up, you cannot sign in. If you cannot sign in, you cannot go to landing page, right? So here, there's going to be hundreds of requirement there in this application. So they're going to be sitting right next to you, helping you out. And once they think they don't like something, they're going to say, we want to change this part of this application. But here, making changes is so easy, right? Because you are not building everything at once, right? What you're going to do is, if you look at this, you're going to build something, you're going to deploy it, then you're going to come back and build something else, then you're going to go deploy it again, you're going to build something in, then you're going to go deploy it again. So it's sitting on UAT, right? Everything is sitting on UAT. And once they're happy with that, they do not need to make any changes. It's going to move to production. Production is the final version. This is where everybody has access to, right? But here you go in a circle. You build part by part. In Agile, you build a product or a application part by part. Like I showed you before, right? You don't go and like Waterfall. You don't go grab the whole thing and start from the entire requirement and then planning and then development and then testing. You don't do that. In Agile, you build part by part. And I hope you know what is part by part, right? Each part could be, um, there you have a customer tab here. If you click on it, what happens? This page appears. Within this page, there is so many more things happening, right? These are also requirement. Let's see if there are any clickable fields. So these are clickable field, right? So many more things happening here, right? So this is this might be, let me show you something, right? So this would be a requirement, customer page. This is the entire page. This would be another requirement. This would be another requirement. Sales would be requirement. Sign in requirement. Sign up requirement. These are one of the parent requirement. And what happens once you go inside, right? This is going to be sub requirement of the enterprise page, right? I hope it's making sense, right? If you go to support, support is going to be parent requirement. Within the support, whatever is happening here, it's sub requirement, support plan, support services, contact us. Through here, right, you go and reach their IT team if there is any support requires. But there's a middle layer. There would be like, business team or specialist sitting in between taking your request. Does this make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Any other questions?
So basically, active stakeholder participation members just slow the whole process because they're in are everywhere in every stage.
Yeah.
Is it?
Stakeholder, the main reason, like, industry right now is shifting toward Agile, and I would say shifted toward Agile is because of this model, right? Client is involved, making changes is happening frequently. Let's mute. Okay. Making changes is happening frequently, and you're allowed to make changes. You're building part by part. You're making a small part of that application, releasing it rather than, let me draw you a scenario, right? So Facebook, right, it's a big application. If you look at Facebook as a entirety, like how much time do you think in a standard size company will require to build Facebook product? Take a wild guess. If Facebook was built today using waterfall model, how much time do you guys think it will require to build the Facebook?
Somebody give a number. How many days or how many months?
I think more than a year, because there is lots of things inside Facebook. There is like lots of sub tag, main like sign up option. After the sign up, you have lots of
Easily,
what you show before. Yeah, long
easily
way.
a year plus project, easy. So now let me tell you, today you come up with an idea about Facebook, and you are giving this task to IT company. You come back in a year and get your product. Do you really think the idea was the trend we had in the market, we have in the market today, a year from now is going to be there? Do you really think? Do you really think a year from now I would like what I like today?
Yeah, no, because now it's very easy. I think what you show that here, because think about Facebook, there is lots of things. So if everything is separated, so every guy is working in different page. So after one page done, they will show the client that are you happy with this? Yeah, done. Then your one is gone. The next one is coming. So everyone is working together. So maybe 2 or 3 months they will fix this.
Yeah, they may not. It doesn't mean like, you just because you're working in Agile doesn't mean you're going to be able to finish the Facebook in a shorter time frame. You are not, but you are going to be able to give small delivery every 2 weeks or every week. So your application is being built, but people has access to it. People see what's going on, and if there are changes required, they're making it right there on the spot, right? So you don't have to wait a year to change your product or like or dislike or decide what to do with this product. No, right? What they're going to do, let's say if they're building Facebook today, obviously they're going to start with the homepage and then sign up and then sign in and then account creation and all this kind of crap, right? And then, Messenger and things like that. The main functionality, they're going to start focus on that. And this is not going to require a year to build. This is weeks or months project, and that's fine. But they have a product there, they can give it out to the people to use it, and they have a product that they can use it and see if they like it. And if there are changes required, they will make changes gradually, right? So with these examples, what do you like more? What do you think is more suitable in today's market?
I think Agile is suitable because in short period of time, you can deliver your product, at least like the basic things. After that, you can make addition or subtraction. It's later happening. But in short period of time, you have something for your customer that they can use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Agile is the way to go. And we have to learn Agile. We just have the exposure to Agile, but there's a lot more to it. We're probably going to need 2 more session on Agile. But this, do you guys understand? This model of Agile, do you understand?
I do have a question. Is Scrum only implemented in Agile, or does it also follow in any other models?
Scrum is within the Agile, but that's a model within the Agile. So we're not going to get into Scrum today because that's a bigger topic. Scrum happens within the construction iteration. The collaborative work that happens within that construction iteration is called Scrum. We're gonna talk about Scrum next week because that's a you know separate topic and it requires a lot of time to talk about this. But before we go into Scrum, but we need to understand Agile as a model, as Agile as a workflow. This is where you guys should focus right now. And what is the difference between Agile and Waterfall? Why do you like Agile? Why do you like Waterfall? Would you like to work in Agile environment, or would you rather work in Waterfall environment? These are your two. These are two models that you have to follow one. And in interview, they're going to ask you, do you like to work in, do you like working Agile, or do you like working in Waterfall? What do you prefer better, and why do you prefer that? So these are the things you need to prepare mentally. You need to understand that mentally, and understand in the industry, you cannot pick one over another. You have to be very diplomatic. You cannot say, oh, I hate Waterfall, this is slow, this is old. Cannot say that, even though it is true. You cannot just say, oh, I don't like Agile, it's too fast, too many people involved, too much changes happening, I do not like, there is no stability at all. You get a product, before you understand it, you have to release it, what's going on. I don't Cannot say that, even though it is true. Everything has its good and bad. But you need to, when you're giving out an answer, you have to be very careful, because they're trying to see what's your thought process. What do you, as a person, like, what type of mentality you have. Are you negative, are you positive? Like, and you don't know if they want to establish Agile in their environment. You're talking bad thing about Agile. You don't know if they are working in Waterfall, or they want to shift toward Waterfall, or something in those lying, and you're talking bad about Waterfall. No way. In the industry, is no negative. You cannot talk about anything negatively. You have to talk, you have to make any negative answer positive. For example, Rajiv is going to give you example, but if if you have to differentiate, waterfall and agile, and they're going to ask you in the interview, like, what do you like about agile, what do you dislike about agile, what do you like about waterfall, what do you dislike about waterfall, and which one you like and which one you dislike. And the last question is very tricky. You can talk about, you can say, waterfall, it has his own way of working, and I was part of waterfall and I enjoyed it, and I learned, I learn a lot from my waterfall team and the project, and and this is how waterfall works. This is what you're going to tell them. And when it comes to agile, you're going to say, agile is a very fast-paced environment, and I really love being part of the agile team, because I get to work very closely with everyone, and I love the fast-paced way of working. And and then you talk about what is agile, and things in this nature. Nothing negative, absolutely nothing. Even like about your last project or last manager, even if he was really bad person, never say anything negative. You always want to give positive vibe, otherwise it's a problem. Mamun, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. So, you know how you were saying how everything gets updated? Like if the client wants to update something on the website, I guess, like the home page, they want to redo the home page.
Yeah.
Like, could we restart from iteration 0, or do we have to start from iteration -1, or are we going to refer back to construction?
No, we are gonna, when the changes happens, right? We are here already, right?
Yeah.
You have to understand like what happens iteration -1, right? This is where they are identifying project is already identified. We are here, right? Initial vision and potential projects, everything happened, we're already here, so we don't need to go back. We don't need to go back here. And what happens here? Obtaining funds, start building teams, this already happened, right? So we don't need to go back here. So the changes happens like how they know what they like or what they do not like, right? You're going to build something here, then you're going to drop it here in release iteration, which is internal, which is nothing but like a QA environment in waterfall, right? If you look at it. So but only difference is client is there, they're also seeing what they are giving, what is the drop they're giving, what is the application they're internally releasing, and they're going to see, they're going to look at it. But it doesn't mean they have given a requirement. It doesn't mean they're just going to say, hey, what kind of job you did, I don't like it. No, this is your requirement. We build the application according to your requirement. But now if they have a newer idea and they want to change something, they're going to give updated requirement of that particular functionality. And which is going to be, when we talk about Scrum, there's going to be like, backlog, sprint backlog, where all this requirement gets together, right? Story point requirement, we're going to talk about it later. And it's going to get prioritized from here. And once it gets prioritized from here, it moves to this construction iteration. And from there, we're going to work on it and we're going to release it again, right? So it's not like, we deployed something here and they look at it and they're going to say, oh, no, we don't like it. And we're going to turn around and come back and start fixing it. No, we have our ongoing functionality that we picked, we are going to work on here, right? And we're working on it one by one, working on it. If they need to make some changes, they're going to put this requirement here in the backlog. And from there, once we're done with this, guys, we're going to pick it from here and start fixing it. Does it make sense, Maman?
Yeah, it's clear.
Cool. Yeah, because some of the things I may just, go high level because, I've been in the industry for a long time and it's very clear for me. Sometimes I may or may not understand your level of understanding. So if you don't understand, like, please let me know or ask questions. Okay. So any other questions in Agile?
So basically this squeeze everything in the construction iterations. Yes.
The work happens in construction iteration, but there is a work. There is a workflow that we follow within that construction iteration, which we will talk about in next week's class. Right now, I don't want to give you too much more information. Otherwise, it's going to be too confusing.
Okay.
Okay, now, okay, let's talk about homeworks. Let's talk about homeworks. Then we're going to talk about something else briefly, and then we'll call it a day. So homework, understand Agile, write your own story about Agile. What is Agile? How does it work? Guys, feel free to Google it. Feel free to research about it, but do not just copy and paste. Understand it. This is important. Just because you're writing it in a piece of paper doesn't mean you understand that, right? It is so crucial for you to understand it. You feel free to watch YouTube video, but don't spend too much time on Google or YouTube because it's endless. It's endless. It's going to confuse you. Follow one direction, understand it fully, but for your homework purpose, feel free to research about it. Do not copy and paste, even though you understand what's written in Google. Type it, write it with the pen and paper. That's the best way to do it. That's the only way to do it in my mind. Do that. um, so yeah, I was talking about homeworks. Agile, write about Agile. What is Agile? What each iteration stands for? How the workflow works in Agile, write that. Then differentiate, what is the difference between Agile and Waterfall. Then talk about what do you like. Um, can somebody, is Shamim on the call?
Yes.
Okay, can you please write down the homework, send out to the group. I hope you have updated email list. If anybody do not receive email, please let us know. 5 minutes from this class, I'll send out the recordings. After that, Shamim will send out homework's email. If you don't receive it, just send a message in the group with your email address. Say, hey, this is my email address. I did not receive any emails. So, we could add you now. So first homework, what is Agile? What is the entire workflow of Agile? Don't go into Scrum, guys. Just stick to what we're talking about. Second thing, differentiate, difference between Waterfall and Agile. That's your second thing. Third thing, what do you like about Agile? What do you don't like about Agile? What do you like about Waterfall? What do you don't like about Waterfall? Fifth thing is environment. What is environment? What are the different type of environment out there? And talk a little bit about each environment. Is it clear?
Yep.
Cool. Shamim, send out that email now. Sister Rosina
Okay.
and Habibur, are you guys okay? I know you guys joined in last class only, and this is our fourth class, I think. So I'm assuming you guys have some questions, concern, or anything. Do you guys want to talk about anything?
We're good.
Good. Okay. You have Rajubai.